Hello and welcome to Hightailing Through History, a history podcast where two sisters get together, get high, and surprise each other with a story from history's vault of the weird and the wonderful. I'm Laurel the Elder.
Laurel the Elder. The ancestor. I'm just kidding. I guess that would make me, is there a fancy word for younger?
Yeah, well, you could just, if I went kind of the Pliny the Elder, and you can go Pliny the Younger if you wanted to. The Younger, yeah.
Yeah, man. I am the younger sister.
Katie the Younger.
Also known as Katie.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So here's our second video podcast that we're doing. I'm delighted. I went overboard with my lipstick. And I'm delighted. That's where I'm at. Like, you can see by my eyes that this makes sense. But hey, welcome. We're so glad you're here for episode 65. And we have a little bit of housekeeping to do because we've got a lot of news, and the news is kind of built up to this point. So we figured just put a big old news bomb. Good news too. So excited. And let you in on what's happening around here. So again, we have video podcast now, which is brand new and exciting and wonderful. This is our second episode of doing it. And along with it, we like to say that this is like Hightailing 2.0 is how we're thinking of this. So first thing I want to start off with, I've got notes because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to, as you can see, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to.
Fantastic idea. When you were like rifling through papers earlier, I was like, oh shit, yeah, she took notes. Like, way to go. Like, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you keep this on task, especially with weed involved.
Sister, you're not lying. Okay. So I'm just going to bookend it with two of the big fun news items. Okay, here we go. Come on, Laurel, get it together. We are now 2 years old. Katie, 2 years old. We had our second year anniversary for the podcast on Sunday, July 16th. And, I feel like we have found our feet. We are growing. We definitely know how to walk. We're running a lot at this point. We have a very set sort of vocabulary at 2 years old. Our little toddler podcast selves moving on up in the world. So yeah, happy 2 years to us. So thank you everybody for keeping us going and keeping us growing over those 2 years. Now that we are two, we are deciding to break our episodes up into seasons. Why we didn't do this from the beginning, I don't know, but we were ambitious. And really, this is a full-time job that I don't really quite have full-time hours for. So what we're going to do is have 8 episodes that will come out. They'll still come out every other week on Fridays. So the scheduling is still going to be the same, but we'll have 8 episodes, and then we're going to take a 6-week break for us to work on research, writing, getting all the recording done. So episodes are coming out on time. And then I'm also able to put effort into social media because I really like connecting with people over there. And it's lately been either one thing or the other, and want to do both. Why can't I do both? Let me do all the things. Let me overcommit.
Limitless energy and time, and you could.
Number 3, we now have a YouTube channel. So some of us are probably already subscribed and watching us here after our first episode. Thanks. But very slowly, I'm going to get the whole back catalog up. So everything before episode 64 will get up there at some point, hopefully soon. And then I'm also going to put up our shorts, or put up our videos from social media under shorts. It's like our TikToks, our reels, those go up on YouTube shorts. So I think it's going to be a really cool place for people to get the social media videos that we do, those little short 60 to 90 second history videos, or history one-hitters, as we call them. Along with that, down the road, getting a Patreon started. So we're going to have exclusive content and interactions and videos and stuff over there, which will be really cool. And then I'm really excited about this, a P.O. box. So we can mail stuff and, I don't know, stickers and stuff. We can send stuff out to people, particularly on Patreon. So I'm like, oh man, mail.
Are you going to make them an apex predator of customer service or whatever it was I said?
I think there's going to be some sort of sticker. Maybe that'll be our exclusive first. So there's our housekeeping news. I want to bookend it at the other side. Ooh, okay, so I was excited that we were 2 years old, but got an email today. Ooh, Katie, I'm so excited. Got an email today from Good Pods. Good Pods is a podcasting platform. I think of it's very similar to Apple, Spotify, Google, any of those, where you can go and listen to podcasts, but that they have charts, and so you can recommend podcasts, and they have charts for it. And so if you're like, I really love Hightailing Through History, which a couple people have gone on there and done, or on their Twitter and said, Good Pods, yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you. That's so nice.
Cute.
And because of that, and your listens and your subscribing and the rating and the reviewing, all these things,
the patronage.
I got an email today that said Hightailing Through History is on the top 100 indie history podcast lists.
Wow.
And not only did we didn't eke in at like 99 or 100, Katie. Do you want to say what number it was? Do you remember?
Remind me, actually. I don't remember the number
Okay.
you told me. So surprise me again, because I'm going to get real.
49. So technically we're in the top 50 indie podcasts.
Damn, dude.
Indie history
That's
podcasts.
pretty good.
49. Yeah, that's not like, and I never knew how people got these lists. I would see other podcast posts like, "Oh, thanks for putting us in the top 10." I'm like, how does one get on the, like, what do you need to do?
How did you get to this list? Yeah.
Right. Who did you pay? Who did you send an email to? I don't know. I don't know how this works. And then I got the email.
Sheer hard work, Laurel.
Sheer hard work. That's how that's done. Yeah. So thank you. Really what that is it's thank you. It's thank you to you. It's for
thank you.
It's for, listening and loving us the way you do. So we appreciate that. And I know I say it every single time at the mid-roll. I'm like, it's the likes and the listens and the shares and the downloads and all that. These are the things that really help indie podcasts like ourselves move up in these charts, get seen, get heard by more people. And I say it every time, but look, y'all done it. And so thank you.
It doesn't happen without you guys. So yeah, definitely. Here's a little half heart, Laurel. Are you going to complete my little heart here?
Oh goodness.
I'll get in there.
This.
Yes.
You know what's funny though? Last week I watched the video. And so as we're looking at each other, it shows me on the left and you on the right.
Okay.
Are you different?
So right now I'm looking at me on the left, you on the right. It's the same, right? Yeah.
Right. So I was like, yeah, awesome light. Here's Katie. And we're both pointing the same direction off the screen.
That's funny.
So us right now, it looks like we can like talk to each other in face, but it doesn't actually look like that when you guys see the finished product. So that was fun.
So we should have hearted this way.
We heart this way?
Got you. We tried.
Hey, and hearts to you. Bloop. So, Katie, should we reward them with some history tonight? For listening to all that housekeeping, but also for all their hard work for putting us up at 49.
Absolutely. Cool. I guess we'll kick it off with where we always start. And what are you partaking of this evening? Besides H2O.
I'm so glad you asked. Actually, no, that's gin.
Oh, shit. No, this is an amateur hour, Katie. That's gin.
This is Hightailing Through History. So this is a gin and tonic, what's left of it. So it was from a bottle that was gifted to me from Mile 28 Distilling in, I think it's like the Highland Park area, but the actual town name is next to it, is near there. But yeah, I haven't been, but the bartender was like, here, give this to your daughter. And I was like, well, thanks. Thank you. But it's called Hidden Door Gin. Hidden Door Gin. Woo.
Okay.
And it's named after the lady bootlegger. I might do a story on her, maybe a reel or something. But
you should.
She was really cool, very smart gal. And so that's the gin named after her. And then I have half an edible that I'm on. And
good for you,
yeah,
man.
I'm ready to go. How about you, Katie? I heard you crack it.
So, yeah, did you hear that? It was Can. Can, if you'd like to sponsor us, please feel free. Send me free product. No, seriously though, like they do not, but I love their product. I think they're incredible. So this is the blood orange and cardamom. So it's a little bit spicy and a little bit orangey. It's very good. The lemon lavender is good, and they have grapefruit rosemary, which You would like it because you like grapefruit, but it's
I do.
more of like the bitter side of grapefruit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not overly sweet like sugar grapefruit, but there is a yuzu, Y-U-Z-U, and elderflower, and I cannot find that flavor, and I'm dying to get my hands on it.
That sounds delightful.
So, yeah, open that P.O. box so they can send me that.
Oh,
I'm dying for it. And this is 5 milligrams. So this is a high boy. Or as Blake says, yes, boy, from the Pretty Deadly from wrestling. Wrestling reference. Remember the two guys that go, yes, boy, and like stare at each other?
I don't, but I'm sure there's somebody else who gets the reference. I showed it to you one day,
but you were lit as hell, so I'm not surprised you don't remember. But he literally went through all my boxes, crossed this off with a Sharpie, and put yes, boy. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? That's fantastic. I love it.
I love Blake.
But the 5 milligram is the high boy, and then the little can is the one where it's like 2 milligrams THC and like 4 CBD. So all THC this evening, and I deserve it.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes.
So everybody, spark up, crack something open, grab a water, grab a cup of tea. We are going to do some bottle leaf grinder, which is Katie's favorite part because she hates rock, paper, scissors. Bottle leaf grinder, shoot. Oh, you got me.
Oh, I leafed you?
Yeah, I bottled. Sorry, there we go. Here I am.
Me alone. Listen, you're going to love this. This is for you, girl. This is for you.
Me?
Yes. Why do you think that is? No, for you. Well, for the listeners, it's always for them, but this is specially for you. Because it's Women's History.
I love it.
Your favorite.
Shower it down on me.
Oh, we're going to. There is plenty of violence as well, so.
Great. Just shower that women's history and violence down on me like flash dance. Pulling the bucket of water, just sploosh me with it.
You're going to love it.
Oh. Okay, great. I'm excited.
Okay. Women's history, y'all. We love it here. I bring to you this evening, hopefully next to a campfire, because that's where I'd love to be right now. Minus the mosquitoes. I bring to you a fighting force made up of all women who were so fierce, European newspapers wrote about how fearsome they were, albeit with a little bit of opinionated poppycock alongside of it. And I did, in fact, write poppycock in there. So laugh, if you will, but that was for you as well. I have tailored this story for you. Okay, this force of about 6,000 strong at its height, right? This is at its peak, was made up of all women, and inspired not one but 2 movie representations of these women on the big screen. They were known as the Agojie or the Dahomey Warriors. Do you know it? You do? Damn it, Laurel. Why do you know all the things?
I know. I would love you to tell us all about this because this is a very important story.
It is.
Yeah.
How much
do you
know
that much about it? I don't know much at all.
Okay, good. Where did you hear about it?
Well, I knew of them. TK does a great episode on it for the love of history.
Yeah.
But then the Woman King, that's what the movie's about, right?
One of them, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that they're also the inspiration for the...
Don't say it because I'm getting into that, so just keep it to yourself.
Okay. I'll keep it to myself. Thank you.
Okay, the Dahomey Warriors were active in the 1700s and reached their peak in the 1800s. That's when they're at their height. Although it's thought they may have even been active before that, it just wasn't like documented. Mm-hmm. So I first heard of this elite fighting group, Unforged in Fire.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is just the greatest show ever, because Doug is absolutely life. Where they featured the Dahomey machete, which was specially used to behead enemies in battle or during a raid. We love history. Sorry. Sometimes you just gotta deliver it with a smile to soften the blow.
I just like how you just hit that thumbs up and just held it like, this is where we are right now.
I had to, man. So the Kingdom of Dahomey is located in West Africa, what is today Benin, which is in the bend. So you know how Africa's like this? There's like a little bend here. So it's in the bend. It's right
Okay.
in between Ghana and Nigeria. So it's like here in the middle.
Yep. Okay.
So that's like, I pulled up a map and I like did all of this because every time location comes up, I have to sit here and try and figure it out. But I thought ahead this time. And I did this sober, which made a big difference. So
Usually does.
It does. The Dahomey Warriors were referred to as the Amazons by the Europeans, right? At this time, due to their similar appearance with the Amazon women of Greek myth. So like Diana from like fucking Wonder Woman, shit like that. That's who these women essentially made them think of. So like, oh, they're the Amazons. Right? So here's me Googling like that Forged in Fire episode, like, oh my, that machete. And it was like, yeah, Africa. I was like, hold on, the Amazon's not in Africa. So that is why.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
They were referred to as the Amazons. Western Africa at that time was booming with slave trade, and hostilities between the tribes ran hot and wars were common. Like, very common. This is what is thought to have actually led to a decrease in the male population of the Dahomey Kingdom at this time, and was what possibly led to the recruitment of women into the fighting force, because they were so needed. So King Hugabadya, I believe is how it's said. I couldn't find anything that led me through the pronunciation like I did all the other stuff, so I am doing the best I can. If that's wrong, I apologize. So King Hugabadya ruled from 1645 to 1685. He put together an all-women hunting group, an elephant hunting group.
Okay.
So this is precursor, they're thinking. There's a couple of different ways that they think this came about, right? This force came to be. And some think that this is where the Agojie started, while others argue it was with Queen Hongbe, who ruled as regent in the early 18th century. When her brother passed away, she introduced women as her palace guards. Should strike a chord with some of you if you've seen certain movies. According to the oral history of the Dahomey, it was her brother, King Agojie, who used this elite fighting force to defeat the kingdom of Savi, S-A-V-I, in 1727. So now we're starting to see them really take hold and become a force to be reckoned with, we shall say. However, it was under King Gezo that ruled from 1818 to 1858 that the fighters really flourished, reached their full potential. So Gezo placed great importance on military reform during his rule, especially because at this time, those who were not well defended fell victim to the blossoming slave trade. And at the time, and the years leading up to them, of course, because, I mean, that happened. Well, in my episode of the Caribbean American month, or in honor of history of the Caribbean, we talk about that and kind of around the time that started. So not only from European influence, however, it's not all just them encouraging the slave trade, we shall say, but also from neighboring tribes. They took plenty of other tribes as personal slaves, as well as selling them into the slave trade, but they honestly just took them for themselves as well. They had a lot of use for them. So it wasn't just all European, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Although that was definitely a part of it, of course. The Dahomey were a state focused heavily on warfare and slave trade. And they were unique in the fact that they actually kept a full military force at all times, whereas most neighboring states, once war wasn't happening, once it was peacetime, the fighting force was disbanded, sent back to the fields, not kept. I almost said on file. Were not kept, like on deck, ready, in the bullpen, we shall say. Right, yeah. And they're kept on file, on the desktop, saved to the desktop, easy access.
Little Rolodex there. Call them up when you want to. Speed dial.
At the height during Gezo's reign, the number of women in the army was around 30 to 40% of the whole fighting force. So they're making up a third plus of the whole fighting force, which is a big deal. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't have more, because when you hear how fierce they were.
Yeah.
Right? So Gezo also recruited foreign captives into his army, coming into the whole slave trade thing. Although free Dahomey female citizens could join as well if they chose, or if a husband or father complained about their behavior, they were sent to be a Dahomey warrior. Yeah. It is, so I'll just warn you, the Dahomey Kingdom is super...
immediately goes to start biting her nails, sorry.
It's super patriarchal, and there was a couple of pieces that discussed that. They were like, yeah, like, it's cool, but it's not great because they're part of the slave trade. Like, there's a lot of things that, like, yes, the women were given this opportunity, as far as this is, like, for influence, because otherwise they wouldn't have had it, because it was male-dominated, this society. But, you know, I mean, it's cool, but also, like, yeah. So, just to keep it all in perspective, of course. Some girls were recruited as young as 8 years old. They're like, and I think someone did a book on this. I said, they're like the Black Sparta.
Little baby warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Little fierce Sparta, little baby warriors.
Oh, yeah, because Sparta took their warriors as young as 7. So, yeah. And someone even said, they said the Black Spartan, the Kingdom of the Dahomey, or something like that. And I was like, hell yeah, they are Black Sparta.
Black Sparta.
Although somehow more aggressive. The purpose of the membership into this elite fighting force is to hone aggressive traits for the purpose of warfare. Therefore, they could not marry. They could not bear children. Legally, however, they were considered married to the king. Legally. Not necessarily with extramarital things. Because many of them were virgins. They were considered... So it's like... Let's think of it like a gelding, which is a fixed horse. Sometimes you geld them because they won't focus on their job. They'll do this. Think of it like that. You want them to focus on warfare, death, destruction.
Katie the horse girl coming in hot with some horse comparisons.
Right?
She's like, just think of it like a gelding, because you all know.
Right? And I was like, yeah, they have no idea what that is. So the Agojie were also known as Mino, or Mino, which means our mothers. So that was the name for them within their culture. The Mino underwent intense physical training and learned survival skills, as well as indifference to pain or death, specifically. And that was stated in every source. It's like, okay, I get it. Like, chill. Like, find your chill mode. Their training included...
Put your hand in the box and then have the thing at your neck and then see if... Okay, right, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, their indifference to pain or death. I was like, shit, okay.
Cool.
Their training included storming acacia thorn defenses. Do you know what the fucking acacia tree looks like? It's the shit the giraffes eat out of. Those giant thorns that are like... Yeah.
Oh.
They would lay that over, and they had to, like, run over that. Like, that was them, like, proving how tough they were.
Like that? Like, run or lay on it? Like, what did they have to
climb over it? All of the things. All the running, the climbing, the body, the everything. I was like, holy fuck.
I'm good. I'll stay outside.
Yeah, dear listeners, if you don't know what those are, please look them up. They're insane. I'm trying to think where I actually got to feel one. I think it was at the San Diego Wildlife Park, where I got to feed a giraffe, which was cool. But I didn't feed him acacia. It was probably fucking lettuce, let's be honest. But but whatever it was, but they had like...
hold it up here, so like they're like, oh, yay, giraffes.
Yeah, because you can't touch their face. If you touch their face, they'll bash you. It's like their reaction. Yeah, so don't pet giraffes on the face, everybody. This is me to you. Here to keep you safe. Don't pick up snakes if you don't know what they do. Don't pet giraffes on the face. So, but yeah, I got to see it, and those thorns were wicked. So, I mean, they would probably easily, if I slammed my hand down, it'd probably go through it. Just to give you an idea, that's how stout and strong they are. So they had to run over that and execute prisoners. And There was a heavy emphasis on discipline. Yes. So a French visitor who visited the Dahomey in 1889 wrote about a teenage recruit who had yet to take her first blood from an enemy. And this is, quote, walked jauntily up, swung her sword 3 times in both hands, calmly cut the last flesh that attached the head to the trunk, and then she squeezed the blood off her weapon and swallowed it.
That's very fearsome and
intense.
Yeah. Like, cool.
Meanwhile, I'm reading that, I'm like, that's wicked. Belonging to the Mino meant power and status for these women. They lived in the king's compound near him and were they were kept well supplied with tobacco, alcohol, and slaves. So sometimes having as much as 50 slaves to a single warrior. So when I say they were a slave trading state, I mean they fucking had them. They were kept well equipped with everything they could ever need. The women's army consisted of a number of regiments: huntress, riflewomen, reapers, who had like daggers for like slashing, archers and gunners, which obvious. So the archers tended to be the younger gals, and they had poison arrows, and it said it was rare that they missed. I was like, of course they didn't miss. That doesn't surprise me. So each...
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Each regiment had different uniforms, weapons, and commanders. So it was very organized, but like I said, disciplined, organized, elite fighting force. They tend to go together. They were meant to have a public face, so they had a uniform. Again, the same as keeping a fighting force around now at this point in time. Was very unique. So was having a uniform. That was odd. That was unique, and they were meant to have a public face for everyone to see, including neighbors, enemies, possible problems. They wanted to be feared by their neighbors. So this is a slave trading kingdom. Warfare is a part of their annual cycle. They needed to gather humans to be a part of transatlantic slave trade, because they did also participate in that as well, as well as human sacrifice to I have such a hard time with this. Posthumously? Humorously? What do you call that?
Posthumously?
That's it. Posthumously.
After death.
Yes. Yeah. No, I knew what it meant, but I just didn't know how to say it. But they kept them for human sacrifices to... It says posthumously defied kings. So, yeah. So they made human sacrifices to past kings, essentially. Wild, huh?
Wow.
I know. Laurel's like, oh, okay.
So I said wow, kind of like Owen Wilson. Wow.
So however fearsome the army of women were, they did suffer defeats. Most notably with the unsuccessful invasion of Abukuta, the capital of Egbos, in 1851 and in 1864, as well as the Second Franco-Dominion Wars. Okay, so here we go. Enter the French. The French conquered the Dahomey in 1892 and were particularly ruthless towards the Amazons, executing many of them, partly because they noted that the women warriors provided the last resistance to their conquest of the state. The courage of the fearless female warriors of the Dahomey earned praises even from their enemies. A French foreign legionnaire named Bern lauded them as warrioresses. They fought with extreme valor, always ahead of the other troops. They are outstandingly brave, well-trained for combat, and very disciplined. These strong, valiant women inspired not one but 2 works of Hollywood representation, the first being The Woman King, as you mentioned earlier, starring Viola Davis, which is based on a fictional character, but on very real warriors in a very real place, time, and setting. She is not real, though, her character. So it does take, how did they put it, a pretty decent creative license with it. But it's still interesting. It still gets the story out there. So sometimes you have to take what you can get. The second being the all-lady regiment that protects the king, T'Challa, in Black Panther, who were almost certainly inspired by the real all-women fighting force that held sway for pretty much just over 100 years in West Africa.
Nice. Yeah.
And
Is it the name? Are they called the Dora Milaje? Is that what they're called? In Wakanda?
I couldn't figure out how to pronounce it. It was just on there written. But yeah, all those gals fashioned definitely after them.
Well, thank you, Katie. Yeah, that one's been on a list for a while, so
has
to
it?
cover.
Oh, well.
So thank you.
There you go. It's very exciting. I saw it again. Like I said, I was watching Forging Fire, and it came on, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, all women fighting force." So I immediately started like searching it, and then it came on. And like I said, it was like Amazons. I was like, okay. Went back to it when I was ready to write the story. It was like West Africa. I was like, hold the fucking second. What? I'm confused.
Someone's gotten something wrong around here.
I know. I was like, all right, I'm lost. I mean, I'm no genius, but I do know a little bit of that geography, and I don't think that's where it's supposed to be. But they were named after the Greek mythos Amazons. They are this amazing fighting force that just almost didn't seem real to the Europeans. And that poppycock that I was referring to is they were saying they were like women who weren't really women anymore, that they gave up being women. They were like actually like men, like they somehow like turned to men or whatever. You know, the usual crap that there's no way they could possibly be females if they're this successful.
Powerful,
yeah, essentially.
Have rage. Yeah.
There was there was they had rage.
Oh yeah.
Like all of the pictures you look up of them, it's always them holding either a saber or that machete, which is kind of like a blade that gets wider near the tip. It was specifically used for beheading. That's why it gets wider, so it has more weight, so it lops the head off faster.
Nice. Like a little handheld guillotine.
Yeah. Exactly. But where was I going with that? Oh, and they're always holding like a head. And I loved that. I was like, fuck, that's amazing. I was like, and I remember I was sitting there, and Blake was next to me while I was writing. He goes, "Oh, who are we talking about this week?" And I turned it around, and it was like her with her like saber and like head. And he goes, "Lovely." I was like, "I know." And he goes, "Seems fitting for you." I was like, "Thanks, honey." Got to get someone who understands your heart.
He knows you so well.
Right?
He knows you so well. Oh, hey there, champ. You've made it. You've made it to the halfway point in between our little slices of history. Get a little Gatorade, maybe some orange slices. And we hope that you enjoy learning more about that West African history of the Dahomey Warriors. What fearsome, badass, tough women they were. And we also hope that you're enjoying yourself here in the Smoke Circle. If so, please rate, review, all those incredible things that made us number 49 in the Good Pod's Top 100 Indie History Podcast charts. I mean, oh my gosh, thank you, you guys. So it's working. I mean, you're doing something. Thank you. And if you could keep that up, that would be amazing. Continue to help us grow and get heard and seen by more people, move up in those charts. Hey, let's make it to the top 10, top 5. I mean, the sky is the limit. Sharing this episode with a friend or on social media can really help. And speaking of social media, please join our online Smoke Circle. Keep up with what we're doing the other days of the week when we're not here, hanging out in the Smoke Circle for an episode with you. On there, we'll share news and updates about the show, but we also share those history one-hitters, as we mentioned earlier. They're about 60 to 90 seconds of history of something that we learned about, and we just thought it would be really cool to share it with you as well. All of our social media accounts are directly linked in this episode's show notes, so just scroll down. There we are. Up next, I'm going to be taking us on a little adventure around various places in the world to explore some mysterious underground cities and the history behind them. So spark up, grab some water, do what you need to do to get yourself ready for an adventure, and let's puff pass it on to part 2. All right, here we go. Katie had the history compilation last episode. So it's my turn tonight to have history compilation. So put your adventuring shoes on, kids, and make sure your laces are tied up tight, but not too tight. Don't want you to have any sort of limited range of motion or cut the circulation off in your feet.
Yeah, don't do that, dude. You got to spread them flippers. So you get maximum surface area. You see, you're laughing. That tells me you don't have wide feet. People who do, who have duck flippers like I do, know my struggle.
You gotta spread those flippers. But adventuring shoes. Have them on, because here we go. We're going to go trekking. A few weeks ago, before this episode airs, episode 65 here, one of the people I follow on Instagram, Jason Murphy from The Strangeress, he's fantastic, by the way. You should give him a follow. Not that he needs my help. He is actually like in far higher echelons of coolness and popularity than I am. But if you don't, he's great. He does like a lot of weird history. And one of the videos that he posted was about this mysterious underground city in Turkey, which is how it's pronounced now. I looked this up. The country formerly known as Turkey, what we would say Turkey. And a lot of people are still going to say Turkey and will say Turkey for a long time, but I know that it is being spelled differently. And I was like, is it pronounced differently?
Hold up.
And it is.
The country changed names?
Mm-hmm. Because there's too much like people making jokes about it being like the animal and stuff like that. So that just got changed to like how it's said in Turkish. So the city is called Derinkuyu.
Okay.
It's this underground city. And he did this video on Derinkuyu and also the way in which it was rediscovered, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was so fascinating. I thought, are there more? Are there more abandoned, weird underground cities? Yes, is the answer. There are, and I'm here to tell you about some of them.
Turkey's got some wild Turkey has some wild shit in it. They've got a lot of stuff like buried in weird places, and you're like, dude, why were you hiding that? Like, that's so cool. Why don't you share? And they're like, yeah, man. You know, we had to have some coffee first. Because they have some of the, like, remember the Turkish coffee we had? Man, that shit was fucking bomb. That'll keep you up for 3 days. So good. The cuisine was excellent as well. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go to Cappadocia. And
take me to the baklava. Yeah. They had baklava there. Do you remember that? It's probably Greek, but they had it there too.
Do I remember that? I haven't been there before.
No, but remember our cousin worked at a Turkish restaurant for a while?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had baklava.
Yeah, okay.
That was fucking delicious. Anywho, carry on.
Regarding my sources, my initial roadmap, just so I learned that these different individual locations existed, was from history.com with an article titled 8 Mysterious Underground Cities. So that's where I started to be
There's more than one?
There's so many more than one. And I'm only going to go through 5 tonight. So I used the history.com article as my roadmap. So if you want to know more than the 5, you can go there. But then for each city, I supplemented it with other articles. So I'm, cross-reference and whatnot. So let's start with the big one. Derinkuyu. The Cappadocia region of Turkey has really unique and interesting volcanic rock landscape. I was looking at pictures of it. I'll put some pictures up. But I was looking at pictures of it and I was like, this looks like a Star Wars sort of city. It's
okay, like Batu, kind of?
Yeah, so many years, so many millennia ago. It was a really volatile, volcanic, hostile environment. It was arid, it was hot, it was really windy. Today, you can actually hike through Cappadocia's Love Valley, which has these yellow and pink hills and these red rock canyons.
Yeah, because the soil's super rich and fertile because of the volcanic soil. Uh-huh.
And there's these chimney stack rock formations that have these naturally formed little conical spires. They're delightful. They're adorable. So you can see these, but as lovely and otherworldly as it is, actually, George Lucas did want to film one of his movies there for Star Wars, and they're like, no thanks. But it would have been
it was denied.
No,
your coffee
we don't
sucks.
Care who you
Get
are.
out.
So he would have filmed there, but you can see him today anyway. But as lovely and otherworldly as this landscape is, you might not know that 85 meters, it's like 278 feet, way down there beneath your feet underground, there's this entire city and perhaps even a greater network of subterranean cities, because as you said, they keep digging stuff up and they're finding more caves and stuff under the ground. The ancient city was then known as Elangubu. I couldn't find a pronunciation for that, so I did that phonetically. I even spelled it out for myself phonetically, but that was what Dahomey used to be called. And the city dates back to about 8th century BCE. Oh. The exact time period of its construction is contested, but there seems to be a reference to it in Anabasis, which was written by Xenophon of Athens in 370 BCE, forward in time.
So really fucking old.
Yeah, exactly. All of this is really old. And in that, he mentions Anatolian people living underground in excavated homes. So that's what's thought of as the first mentions of it.
Oh, to hide from the volcano.
No. But to hide. But you're right in hiding. I'm just going to tell you.
Straight up, all I felt was Jack Sparrow there with we must fight to run away. I was like, shit. I was like, whoa. And I was like, Katie, no, calm down. You're high. Carry on. I'm going to keep going to my happy place.
Hey, you keep going, girl. And because of not being entirely sure when construction was, the who made it is also debated. But historians generally seem to agree that it was either the Hittites or the Phrygians.
Okay. I know the Hittites.
Yeah, right? There's names that people are like, okay, I'm understanding this place in the world. Based on historical evidence of the time, what artifacts were found in the caves, as well as what is known about certain groups of people at certain times in their history, the thought is that the Hittites might have started it and the Phrygians built the bulk of it, because they were highly skilled architects during the Iron Age and were one of the most prominent early empires in Anatolia, that region, during this time period. According to Andrea Agojie, Associate Professor of Classical Studies at Florida State University, she says the Phrygians were known to make these really amazing rock-cut facades. And so she's like, it's kind of like in their wheelhouse to do cool rock stuff, basically. And so she says that the rock in Cappadocia is really well suited for underground construction because of the lack of water in the soil, because of how dry everything is. Right. And that the rock is really easily moldable and malleable.
Yeah.
So this is a good place for an underground city, is what we're saying. And also, while researching the city, it came to my attention that it's been featured on Ancient Aliens, and they say that aliens built Dahomey. Okay. Like, in case you're not watching it, like breathe and count to 10 for a second. Can we maybe just give
people the credit they're due?
Give credit for their engineering feats? Just maybe think about it. Like, whatever.
I think we touched on that with Dr. Reed in our episode.
Right. And he's like, no one suggests that Britain needed help building Big Ben, or China needs help building the Great Wall.
Great Wall.
Yeah.
They just buried their workers right in there. Very efficient. That was dark. I'm sorry.
So
man, I'm on a roll tonight.
But yeah, so they're like, aliens built this. And once again, it's one of those things like, well, if they're aliens, why do they look like people built them?
Why didn't they do a better job then?
Why doesn't it look like the Death Star in here is what I want. Like, I want some metal. There's got to be some alloys of some sort. You're aliens. You're building a freaking spaceship.
At least the face-hugging aliens. At least.
Come on. So anyway, just, let the people build their cities and give them credit for it. So anyway,
yeah, man.
With that aside, Dahomey later changed hands to the Persians and then to the Christians of the Byzantine era. And then finally the last to use it, last to use it were the Cappadocian Greeks in the 1920s.
What?
Yeah, we've had a huge span of time. So the last people to use the city, that's believed to use the city, were the Cappadocian Greeks in the 1920s. So we are in the early 20th century. And once
Prohibition.
they were... Not at this part of the world, but also yes.
Well, yeah, I was just saying it was around the same time.
Once the Cappadocian Greeks were defeated in the Greco-Turkish War, they fled back to Greece en masse. And so from 8th century BCE to the early part of the 20th century, this underground city was in near constant or frequent use. and by the people that lived above it.
Yeah.
And Andrea Agojie believes that it was during the Christian Byzantine era that the underground city was most utilized, because during that time in the 7th century, there were Islamic raids on the predominantly Christian Byzantine Empire at that time. So it was believed that at that time there were about 20,000 people, and that's how they know that it could hold that many people for a few months and house them for that time, and the frequency at which they would probably be using the city.
Okay.
So there we go.
So it's a nifty little hideout.
It's a nifty little hideout. Do you want to like go inside and see?
Yeah.
Do you want to like go check it out?
I mean, is that even a question?
Come on, let's go inside. I was writing this, and I just got to share this idea with everybody. I was writing this, and I thought about a reel that I could do to help promote this episode. It was cribs, like MTV cribs, like. And I was like,
ancient cribs.
Do you want to come and say, hey, MTV, what's up? Welcome to my...
I've got nothing but ketchup and steak sauce in the fridge, because that's totally realistic. But anyway, check it out.
God, that show was crazy. Anyway.
It was.
So let's
it was
go
wild.
in.
And the Pimp My Ride.
Yeah.
So wild.
Bananas. It's an 18-story underground city, 18 levels, 50 ventilation shafts. Well, that goes down another 55 meters, which is like another 180 feet.
Jiminy Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like to be the guy lowered on the rope? Because you know that's how they did it. All right, Stu, or whatever their names were back then. Just let us know when you're done down there. Yeah, it's getting kind of dark. Yeah, we're underground, Stu. That's what happens. Just give a tug. Hits poisonous gas. Stu was never seen again. I don't know if that happens in that part of the world. He didn't bring a canary. Oh, man. That job would suck. I hate heights.
And depths.
Yes. Yes, that as well.
No. Don't like not seeing the bottom of things. So here's our well. So our well's built another 55 meters or 180 feet down. And it could be easily controlled from the city below. So that way no one above could tamper with it. Or
with the well or with the city in general? Okay.
Well, with the well.
Gotcha.
So they controlled their own water supply, and it also controlled it from up top. So if someone's up there invading, they're like...
shut down.
There were kitchens, schoolrooms, oil presses, an area for pressing grapes and making wine.
Grapes. We need to have our wine.
A bathhouse, and then the living space for the thousands of people that would inhabit it for about 3 months at a time. Livestock lived at another level with ventilation to help protect the citizens from the livestock smell, but also
stinky,
like cow
poopy
farts.
Fumes.
Yeah. Which is a pollutant, right?
Yeah.
Methane. Yeah.
As they say.
But I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's not a vacation to live underground. You know, it's a little claustrophobic. You have to go to the bathroom in a clay jar. So no thanks right there. Dead. No, thank you.
Nothing but a rock for wiping. Yeah, did you know actually when you're camping, smooth rocks are the best like toilet paper you can use? It actually, because you don't want to use leaves because you don't know what you're wiping your bum with. You're going to poison ivy your butthole. And that would be terrible. So just take it from me when I tell you. Just use the smooth rocks, mate.
Have you ever poisoned ivy or poison oaked your butthole? Is that what you're saying?
No, don't be silly. I use the smooth rocks. I learned from those who came before and was like, thank you, ancestors. That's a terrible idea. I will not make that same mistake. Nice. Also, I read it in a camping guide. He walked so I could run. Just like Stu. So you can have clean water.
Oh, man. God bless you, Stu. But thankfully, you'll only have to do it for like a maximum of a few monds if if you had to go hide out underground.
That's not terrible. It's not like it's years.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, probably also if it's like your life on the line, you would be like, oh, you know what? I'm fine being underground for a little bit. It sucks, but I'd rather not be dead. So
right. I'll shit in a jar. It's fine.
you gotta do what you need to do, right? You know?
You do.
You gotta do it sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta shit in the glacier.
Sorry.
Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Whew. All right. Okay. But this is the best part. You ready for how they found this place?
Oh, boy.
It's 1963, and a local man who's always remained anonymous is renovating his home, and he would find that his chickens would just go missing. They would go missing. They would just go behind this little crevice that was, brought forth from the remodeling and renovating, and all of a sudden his chickens would be gone, and they'd never come back.
Shit.
It was like, where are my chickens going?
I'd be pissed.
Right. I mean, that's either your food, it's your livelihood, it's both, right? You don't want your chicken, like you can't. Yeah.
Once they get big and they're laying age, that shit's not cheap.
Yeah. He's losing his chickens. So he goes and investigates and pulls up more of the floor, the wall, this crevice, this hole that's been opened. And he's like,
fucking Narnia's in here, you guys. Like,
there's a draft. Like, he's like, I can feel. Like, what in the hell?
Fucking Aslan pops out of nowhere.
What's Tom?
Mr. Tumnus.
Tumnus, yeah.
Played that
was my satyr.
Dashingly handsome Scotsman, James McAvoy.
Oh, it was McAvoy, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it was. With goat legs, which does not make him any more attractive to me, but he himself is very nice.
Oh, no. Okay. I was going to say, oh no, we're going to learn like you're a centaur girl.
You know, I do still have my stick horse around. Wait, what's a centaur person? Is that like a thing?
So his chickens went missing. He pulls up the more floor. He's got a draft. It feels like Narnia in there. He's like, holy hell, there is a city, an underground city in my house.
Oh my God.
That's not even the most bonkers thing. They go to find out that there are over 600 entrances to Derinkuyu in other people's private homes.
Oh my God.
So Mady in 1963, it was not the first person. I mean, he was the first person to find it, but they went on to go find more. In 1985, it was added to UNESCO's World Heritage List, and you can visit and tour the underground city of Derinkuyu. As of the summer of 2022, which is what my BBC article is from, it only costs 60 Turkish lira, or £2.80 British sterling. The journalist with the BBC is like, it was £2.80. I was like, that seems awfully cheap, but that's cool.
That seems exceptionally reasonable.
Next, we're going to go to northern France. So we're going west. And I love this one. I like this one, and I'm not exactly sure like what it is exactly about this location. I'm just like, oh, I really like it. But anyway,
is it romantic?
No.
Okay.
3 no's. I didn't really think about that. I was like, France, yeah, I could see that. Everything else about it, no.
Okay.
The caves are pretty sexy. Okay, anyway, here, let's talk about it. So,
okay, tell me about it.
We're gonna go to another underground city that was originally used by its local ancient inhabitants as a refuge from war and invasion, just like Derinkuyu. This city here in northern France is called Nars. Naours. Nars. I listened to a French man say it over and over and over again, and then over and over and over again some more.
Yeah, but they have the accent. We don't.
Over and over. I'm just kidding. And he says it so fast. I was
Several hours later. Which is funnily enough in a French accent. Sorry. Anyway.
They know.
Oh, SpongeBob.
So, but that's the name of the city, Nars. So located in the Somme region, I think it's actually appropriately called a department, but it's in northwest France. And it's under 100 feet. It's 100 feet below a plateau, like a forested plateau. It began in the 3rd century CE as part of a Roman quarry. So also just a reminder that the Roman Empire did come up not only this far north in Europe, but also like into Britain as well too. So
heck yeah. It went up to almost Norway. because they hit the Germanic tribes, which is a little bit more north than France.
Yeah.
They ran into them. So that, I mean, they just kept walking.
Yeah. So we've got a Roman quarry here from the 3rd century. And just like Derinkuyu, it began as one thing and then quickly expanded to make room for all of its above ground citizens so they could take shelter inside during times of war and invasion during the Middle Ages. There was enough room in there for about 3,000 people to temporarily live, and also included wells, which is good, water supply, stables, bakeries, chapels, and living space. They didn't have the wine making, though, as far as I know.
That's tragic, especially in France.
Mm-hmm. You want to just have some wine to get you through, really. The city was closed down for quite some time, but it was reopened again in the 19th century as a tourist destination. And honestly, I'd go because there's some pretty sexy looking caves. They're nice. And you remember like the Hellfire Club caves that I sent you when I did that episode?
Yes.
And like they're kind of nice. Like you could walk through. You didn't have to.
They're roomy, yeah. They don't look wet. Like a lot of caves have moisture everywhere because water also tends to be underground with the caves. So the caves I was in Kentucky, which is ironic. There are a few creatures I hate in this world, right? I have a tarantula. I have all the creepy crawlies in the world. The one thing I can't handle in life is crickets. I hate crickets. Crickets are my kryptonite. Cave crickets, or camel crickets specifically, are from the devil's asshole. So they crawled out of there. They were like, they're a plague not mentioned in Egypt. That's what they are. So where are you going to find one of these? Bro, in the cave. Didn't think about it. Here's me strolling through, minding my own business. Boom, there was staring at me. And they're like, yeah, we grab those and we take them fishing. I'm like, huh, you what? Huh. And they're like, yeah. And he reaches for it. I was like, no, stop. I'm about to leave.
Because they jump weird. They don't.
Oh, my God. He grabbed it with his bare hand. Yeah, dude.
I can't even imagine what that feeling would be.
We're not going to, because that actually happened to me one time. In the cellar, I reached into birdseed and pulled it out, and there was one in there.
Did you know the first time we actually ever discovered them existing was when one was inside my boxer shorts that I would wear to bed?
No.
And I put them on, and it ran down my leg and across my foot and across. But I did because I'm.
Oh my God! I would have just been deceased. That's how are you alive right now? I would have lost my shit.
And Katie, I couldn't see it because my vision is so bad. I didn't have my glasses on. I was like in early high school, I think. Yeah, I didn't have my glasses on or contacts or anything. And so I just saw this like thing going and like running away.
You just unlocked a new level of fear for me.
Really sorry about that.
I did not know.
I am actually really sorry about that.
That happened.
Yeah, that's how we figured out what they even were in the first place.
Oh.
And for some reason, we never saw them up to that until that point, and then we saw them all the time after.
They took a while to show up. I think they traveled up from the lake. I think it took them to. I don't know. They're fucking horrible, dude.
Nightmare fuel for real.
I'm about to throw you a sympathy party. Like I'm gonna make you a cake or whatever, because that's.
Do I get presents?
Tragic. Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. I would like to. Be celebrated for my bravery and courage on that one. Please. Yeah.
Honestly, everyone's laughing, but I'm like, yeah, you were brave, because I would have literally just laid down and passed away.
Yeah. Just your soul leaving your body.
Anyway, French caves, no wine.
They're a tourist destination. And, but they became a tourist destination later in the early 20th century for a very specific reason. The supplement article that I used for Nowers was from explorefrance.fr. And it said, quote, the first Australian soldiers to arrive in France came to Nors as tourists in July 1916, and many of them left their mark with graffiti on the walls of the underground city. And I sat there for some time rereading that sentence, and I was like, tourists? Like, Australians in the Somme area of France in 1916. And we're like, are we sure about the word tourists? And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, no, actually, yeah, tourists, because Norris is the underground city. It was away from the front lines. But I was like, who's what?
But still.
And it's true. Yeah, and it's true because they would, because soldiers had seen warfare, which is already terrible and traumatizing, but the soldiers had seen new warfare in World War I. There would be people organizing tours to Norse just to help them get away from the front and go do something else.
Right.
Although I'm not sure if being underground would help, being in a trench and then being more underground. I'm not sure. But it was apparently helpful enough, at least, because today you can still visit the underground city and see 3,000 examples of graffiti left behind from the soldiers.
Wow.
1,800 of them are believed to be from Australian soldiers, and the rest from English, Irish, Scottish, American, and French soldiers.
Wow.
Another 600 have yet to be identified. According to Explore France, it is the largest concentration of World War I inscriptions on the Western Front.
Wow.
And it looks really cool. And I was like, I really love that.
We're going to have
extra story to it.
An underground city exploration.
Tours. You know what? The sky's the limit. Let's go on.
Let's do it.
Like little traveling history tours. Let's go do things
we could
in
have
places.
Little outings.
Yeah, we could. Here's our next one. In order to get your history passport, God, I'm such a dork. A history passport stamped for the next location, you have to sit through some etymology. It's kind of like a history vacation where you have to listen to the timeshare person in order to get like the cool offer. You gotta go through the whole timeshare pitch. That's kind of what this feels like right now. Sorry. The saying "worth your salt" means that one is capable, deserving, dependable, has had a strong performance in the work or the activity in which they were doing, and it's a compliment, really. It's a compliment, and it comes from Roman times when soldiers were sometimes paid in white gold, salt. And in fact, the English word for salary comes from the Latin salarium, from what I understand. In my vast knowledge, it was a payment when a soldier demonstrated great skill and courage in battle and was worthy of such a payment. Salt, it was still
get really well seasoned meat.
or whatever else, like a horse, like a hamster, like a little salt lick. It was still salt was still a really crucial preservative in medieval Europe, and it was highly taxed, and so it remained this really important part of a soldier's ration and pay. Thanks, idioms.com. But there we go. I feel like you sat through your timeshare talk. You're like, all right there, Tiger. Why all the salt talk? And that's because we're heading over to Poland to the Woliska and Bochnia Royal Salt Mine. And it is gorgeous. It's gorgeous, I tell you. Oh my God. This place. Outside of Krakow, the Woliska Salt Mine, also known as the Underground Salt Cathedral, has existed since the 1200s and has mined and produced salt up until 1996. Over time, it extended more than 1,000 feet underground in a series of tunnels and galleries, like art galleries. Because the miners, who are somehow Michelangelo, carved reliefs and sculptures into the salt.
Oh, holy crap.
So if there's art, it's like an art mine. It's amazing. And because of the importance of salt, as mentioned earlier, the Polish king Casimir III, it was like the 14th, 15th century, he made, CE, by the way, made some serious, just in case we need to know, made some serious revenue from these mines to the point where it made up about a third of the royal treasury's income. There's so they made so much money off the salt.
Currency was backed by salt, not gold.
Right. And due to this great income that he's getting from the salt, Casimir III opened the Krakow Academy, which was Poland's first university. And then under his rule, the Salt Works Statute was issued in 1368, which ordered the old mining laws and traditions, which guaranteed the mine's stability for years to come.
Wow.
And so from that point on, the mining grew and then employed so many people and was able to be used for as long as it had been. It still is in many ways.
It met my lifespan, apparently.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. The mines also became really popular to see because these sculptor miners were creating these really beautiful works of art as they're down there, which that is so interesting to me. Like, Katie, okay, come into the play pin with me, come into the sandbox, and let's go through this. So you're on a job interview, and I'm the person interviewing you, and I'm like, right, so I see that you've worked in mines before. You're incredibly experienced, and are you good at art? Right? And you're like, I'm really good at mining. And you're like, okay, cool. Can you see the angel in the marble and set it free? Is what we're asking.
I mean, I guess you figure you've got nothing else to do down there. You might as well entertain yourself.
But I mean, they're all really, really good. It's not like, it's not rough.
Well, maybe
they
broke up the ones that sucked. So maybe they had practice and you didn't know it because you ate it. So you salted your potatoes. Yeah.
Break it over a knee.
Maybe not. Maybe they were just fantastic sculptors to begin with. And they just I don't know, special lady at home, missing her. You start tapping out those thighs. And then you just
oh.
I'm just saying, dude, you never know.
Sexy salt mines. Yeah.
Sexy salt thighs.
Or thighs. Salt lick. There you go. So what seems to be the first tourist that we know by name, that history knows by name, is Nicholas Copernicus, the famous astronomer. And it's believed he probably visited the mines in about 1493. And in remembrance of this event, they carved a salt bust and figure out of him. And you can see it in the chamber that's named after him. So he even has a chamber.
Wow.
Of salt named after him. You could also see a detailed replica of Da Vinci's The Last Supper.
What?
I'm not kidding. It's salt art on the walls. It's amazing. And there's these reliefs and huge. It's gorgeous.
This is in Poland?
In Poland, yeah.
We must go to Eastern Europe.
Mm-hmm. Just outside of Krakow. Just outside of Krakow.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has these huge crystal chandeliers, like Phantom of the Opera, Moscow.
Made of salt or crystal?
Oh, sorry. Crystal, like actual chandeliers. That's light in some of these rooms.
Oh, they brought it in so you could feel fancy whilst walking the salt mines. I mean, you might as well at that point.
It's amazing. So, it's definitely not what you think of when you're like salt mines or mines. You go, it's nice.
These are fancy salt mines.
Fancy salt mines. And after about 700 years in operation, the mine stopped producing salt in 1996. But every day, still hundreds of miners work there to continue to make sure the mine's safe, backfilling voids, managing water leaks, and then just general historical preservation.
Oh, wow.
In 1978, it was added to UNESCO's World Cultural and Natural Heritage List. Our last two locations were initially created for the same reason, nuclear fallout.
Oh.
So, and the first is rather straightforward, so I'm just going to save the really bananas one for the end. So we're going to go to England. And during the first couple decades of the Cold War, so like the 50s, 60s, into the 70s, nuclear war looked like an actual event that could happen, which is scary to contemplate. But here we are. We've made it so far. And here we are. But that looked like a very real thing. So fallout shelters were something that were popping up all over the place around the world. And in merry old England, under the quaint little village of Corsham, lies a 35-acre underground complex called Burlington Bunker, which was its code name at the time. It was first built in the 1950s from a series of existing tunnels and stone quarries. So once again, quarries and already underground dug places. It contained office spaces, a telephone exchange for all the operators and stuff, medical facilities, sleeping quarters, cafeterias, all of it designed for the British Prime Minister and about 4,000 other key government personnel.
It's right next to Lecoq.
Oh, that's fun.
Get the fuck out. Lacock. How would you say that? Text Christian right now. How would you say this town?
I can't wait. I'll ask him in a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, God, I can't wait. Please take a recording so I can hear every second of it. Anywho, so Corsham to the west of. Fuck, I'm high.
London. There was even an in-house BBC studio that the Prime Minister could use to address the public. But the bunker was like, hey, let's not get all too serious, considering this is for nuclear fallout. Let's put some art in here. Maybe that'll cheer us up. And so there's these murals painted by artist Olga Lehman, and like the circus is depicted, sports, sailors, like bygone days, and mermaids, and like prehistoric monsters and things like that. It gets kind of bonkers. And there's this really, yeah.
Why am I defaulting to a bad Scottish accent tonight? Like, what is that about?
It's all right.
Anyway,
it's just how you're feeling tonight. And there's a controversial painting which appears to be a quote, missionary padre being boiled alive in a cooking pot, surrounded by tribal people gnawing on bones. End quote. Yeah, which I mean, yeah, no shit's controversial.
I mean,
no one wants, like, it's a problem in a lot of ways, but like, also, who thought that was going to be a good idea who thought that was a good idea first and foremost, and then who thought that was going to be a good idea to put down in a bunker for
to cheer you up? Like, what the hell?
Anyway, so it was never put into active use, but the Burlington facility remained partially operational until 2004. I'm not really sure what they were using it for occasionally, but it wasn't for its initial purpose.
Right.
And then it was finally decommissioned and declassified then. So people knew
it was made to age cheese.
Was it really?
I don't know. I was just throwing it out there.
Well, because actually it's funny. They put it up for sale, and there was some weird offers that came in. Like someone was like, yeah, I want to turn it to like an underground rave. And then someone was like, I want to do underground tech identity. Well, I know I go to a rave underground.
Right.
But tech security, and one was like a 1950s themed theme park. Like there's some interesting offers that were made for it, but there it is, the Burlington bunker. So
has it been bought?
No, not that I know of.
Oh, let's buy it. Let's have it as the Hightailing. I don't know, but let's have it as the start a Patreon. Let's have it as and what's the thing you do? Oh, what's the one where people go and donate money? You make your own page.
Oh, I was about to say OnlyFans, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
We could do a history OnlyFans. What is the other one called? Change.org or something? I don't know.
No, it's shit. Now that you've started talking about it, I can't know what it is.
I can't remember what it is.
And everyone's yelling it right now.
Probably
Kickstarter.
They probably are. Kickstarter?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking the one where like my dog is sick and I can't afford the vet bills. Please donate.
Oh, I'm sorry. GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. That's what it's called. Thank you, everyone who yelled it.
Yeah, everyone's been screaming at it.
Oh, dude. But we could start a GoFundMe. That'll be our Hightailing Through History headquarters. And we can start by burning that problematic painting.
Yeah, it's rough. So there's that one. The fifth and final one is
the bonkers one.
Yeah, it's another nuclear fallout shelter, which is why I just kept these two together. This time it's in China's capital city of Beijing.
Oh,
and this underground city in Beijing is listed on History's 8 Mysterious Cities, like that initial article I found, and I thought, oh, it's cool. It's in a different part of the world, and it sounds really interesting. I'll research on that one. But when I got my supplementary, there we go, articles from NPR and National Geographic.
Okay.
I found out a whole lot more, and I was like, wait, what? So here we go. It's bonkers. To begin, this bunker.
No, it's bunkers.
It's totally bunkers.
No. Oh, you and Blake have corrupted me.
I'm so proud of you. I really am.
It's so bad.
Really proud.
Oh, it hurts so good.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it feel so good? So this bunker was built during the 1960s and 70s during the Cold War, once again.
Okay.
The Chinese government ordered construction of a huge fallout shelter under the capital, which became known as Dixiasheng. Dixiacheng. Dixiasheng. And it was built to be capable of keeping everyone safe, of up to 1 million people safe for up to 4 months. It consisted of fallout-proof tunnels and rooms and snakes its way underground for several dozen square miles. It's a really big area. I found this in the article. Certain passageways were reportedly large enough for tanks to pass through, while others housed purpose-built schools, hospitals, restaurants, granaries, and there's even a skating rink and a 1,000-seat movie theater.
Holy shit.
What?
Better than some crappy painting.
Yeah, totally better than painting. And also based on those other 2 articles that I read, about 1,000 more shelters were built underground by individual people in Beijing. But here's the thing, like as we know it today, and as was mentioned with the Burlington bunker, nuclear war didn't come to fruition, thank the gods, and these tunnels and bunkers were never actually utilized for their initial purpose, or, had any inhabitants in them at any point. Except in Beijing, it does now. They're being used. And again, this is not mentioned in anything else except for a couple of these articles. Because housing is so expensive and the city is so crowded, over 1 million people live underground in the Dixiasheng.
Wow.
Technically, it is illegal, but people do it. I mean, obviously, so many people are doing it. I've got the sources linked as the last 2 in my section of sources. So if you want to see the pictures, you can. There's plenty of pictures in the NPR and Nat Geo article, but like it doesn't look great. I mean, as you can imagine, it looks horribly depressing and really sad. There's just like white walls and everyone's crammed in there.
Sounds
just
like
enough room
school.
for a tiny mattress to like fit in there. Kitchens and bathroom are communal, but the average rent is anywhere between $20 to $70, depending on the source that you read it from, per month for that.
I'm totally looking it up while you're talking.
Yeah,
sorry.
and so there's been a lot of people that have done it. It's so wild. So 1 million people. And for the most part, the underground population is made up, as these articles say, it's made up of young migrants from the countryside who have come to the city looking for work.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of them are servers, tech workers, storekeepers, quote unquote regular people who just
poorer people
can't afford a house above ground. You can't find anything. And so, yeah, that was like a wild left turn to take with it. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's these articles about, it's Beijing's Beijing's underground city. And it's like this, here's all the things that they did in this fallout shelter. And you're like, oh, cool, full stop. You think it ends there. And then NPR and National Geographic are like, nope, there's even more to it.
It looks like a way shittier Airbnb. Like the hallways and stuff aren't bad, but like the rooms that you live in are not spacious even at all.
I mean, yeah, people are like sitting in there like this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Whew.
Anyway, so those are 5, just 5 of 8, and probably several more mysterious cities in the world that most of them you can see for the most part, not all of them, but not those last 2. But yeah, that's underground cities. And I actually found out just shortly before we started recording, Manhattan Marcio, I had a listener who sent a message about the city that they found under somewhere in Mexico. I don't know. I'm just going off the top of my head, but I was like, I'm going to have to find out more about that. Maybe do a reel on it. But there's another underground city that's been.
I love it when people send suggestions.
Rediscovered, I guess, by archaeologists. And I was like, this is amazing. So I have to look more into that and I'll let you guys know. But yeah, underground cities. I love that. It's like
that's amazing.
TK For the Love of History, she calls it oopsie archaeology. Like people are like, oh, there's like, they just dig a little bit too far.
You lose your chickens, and next thing you know, you find Turkish Narnia. There it is.
That
happens
right there. So, wow. So what did we have today? We had the Dahomey Warriors. And then mysterious underground cities. just all kinds of fun stuff going on.
I'm glad we ended with yours. It was a little more lighthearted.
Everyone wants to go on a little cave adventure, as long as, not like one of these sort of cave adventures. I wouldn't, Christian was telling me about that where he's like in school and they did this thing where you get like fit. It just was enough for I was like, nope, I don't want to hear any more of what you're about to say.
That's the thing is like when I'm sitting listening to it, it sounds like nightmare fuel. When I was there in the situation, it wasn't bad. Maybe it's because like you have lots of air. At least I did the whole time. But then when I was there and did it, I was like, oh, that wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
I don't know about the underground water stuff where people like go in those little, and it's like a slide. I was like, whew, that I might put a boundary on that one. Like, sorry,
the hardest of passes for me. Absolutely not.
Yeah, my line is drawn. I'm a terrestrial creature.
As you said in a previous episode, no, I'm strictly a land mammal.
Is that what I said? And I second that. Past Katie knew what she was talking about when she said, no, I'm strictly a land mammal. And the same stands true today.
I hope you guys have all had a great time with us for episode 65. I know I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot. I feel like I've grown as a human being. I've definitely had my funny bone tickled. I faced some fears. I've gotten to know my sister better. Passing off my trauma to my sister. This is great. This is what family does, I
mean, listen, I will share your burden with you. I've got no problems there. It was just the fact that it happened at all that's just absolutely tragic. Like, that's terrible.
And with that said, get money, get high, give love, and
keep your adventure shoes close. You never know when you're going to find a hidden city.
Yeah, keep those laces tied up tight, but not too tight. And have a great couple of weeks, and we'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.